We're live.
Yeah, lies.
Come on, change color. There you go.
All right, let's get the admin stuff out of the way. It's cold, it's wet. Send funds because it's cold and wet. If you like coffee, and we know you do, get your coffee here. When you order some, let them know you heard about it here, so they will continue to sell us or send us the holy Java bean of life. I think that's it.
Yeah, and we're all grumpy.
We hurt.
And we're hurting today. Me more so than the others because my day started with a lovely folding, spindling, and mutilating by the chiropractor.
I have to wait for my bruises to heal up before they'll see.
Immediately followed by getting the fangs scraped.
By the way, I need a full Nerf suit or about 100 yards of bubble wrap because apparently my editor-in-chief cannot walk without.
Well, she damn sure can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time.
There were birds. That's all I'm saying. Like they were there. I would watch them, and yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, Arcade, we're too old to fold.
I've seen weak old dachshund puppies who are more coordinated than her sometimes.
And we've been sitting here prior to the start, cussing all the things that we're missing.
Right.
You would think when you put stuff someplace, you could go back and find it.
You said the magic words. I'm going to put this somewhere. I will never lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. At lunch, we were griping about missing certain items, including suture kits.
I can't find my Dermabond. I can't find my suture kit. I know I've had a suture kit in the past. I've used it. I can't find it.
And I went home and looked where I thought mine was sitting, and it's nowhere to be found.
I was moving everything from the pickup to the car. And I know for a fact there are 5 tourniquets in that pickup. I found one. Somewhere I'm missing 4 tourniquets.
Yeah.
It really annoys me.
Kermit, it's not that I need one. It's just habit to have one.
Why do you need suture kits? I don't, those words sound like English, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like English.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have multiple.
And Cedar was bitching about missing things too. So
yeah, apparently fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
So when we moved into the house, there were fire extinguishers. I can tell when he died because it must have been about 15 years ago because that's what the dates on everything were that have not been replaced since then.
Hair ties. No, I don't have to worry about that. You got to have hair to have hair ties.
Speaking of Jody cats, just before I came in the continuous saga of Dependa Cat and the Jodies, before I came over here, I went to the back door and let the dogs out because they need to go piddle before I leave. I look out back before I open the door because there might be a coyote out there, and I see that Dependa Cat is seductively giving herself a bath on the well. I say seductive because she's a sleut. And in the yard is Jody Cat number 2, the tuxedo, who is licking his eyebrows into place and seeking up on her. So I did what anybody would do.
Yeah.
I let Task Force Joanie loose. And would you believe that an approximately 12-pound tuxedo cat can clear an 8-foot fence?
Yep.
Especially if there's a Joanie about half a step from his fuzzy ass. Dependa Cat, I got to go to the pause with Dependa Cat tomorrow. That's just, we got to get this taken care of.
Oh, Sir Brass, you're still waiting on that?
Somebody come get your cat.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Hopefully the family was able to come get y'all rather than leave you hanging. And yes, I carry chest seals too. I've got 2 blowout kits in the car. One in a medical kit, one in ready.
I've got a full-on rack kit somewhere.
Yeah.
I've got blowout kits somewhere, and we're not in that big of a house. I can't find them.
Yeah.
really annoying me.
You're in a house with a female.
Really annoying me.
Things get moved.
It's like, what the fuck is a rat kit? You can't miss a rat kit. It's the size of a steamer trunk. It's bright orange.
And she put it somewhere to get it out of the way.
As she does.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody had to use the tourniquets. Yay! But I kind of would like to know about it.
Yeah. Good. If the mother-in-law came, that must mean something.
Ooh, David needs a mama cat. David Bach, I'm bringing 2 rescue kittens to the vet on Monday for a wellness check and a scheduled spay. They need a mother cat. I got you, dude.
They do not need a mother cat. Poor David. They have a small house. He had 3 grown cats, and then they had these 2 little fuzzy butts show up that needed to be warm and fed and dry. And
They
he's
need a
been
mama
trying
cat.
to find a home for them.
Mama cat.
So, if any of y'all are in Tennessee and you need a cat, talk to David.
Yeah.
I got a mama cat. She's free. I'll punch extra holes in a box and ship her UPS.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Kitchen drawer. Yeah. The Schroeder's kitchen drawer.
I just. Rita's allergic to cats. We can't have a cat. Rita's allergic to them. We cannot have a cat.
Arcade says Mikado got an autograph book from Cedar, put it in a safe place until Christmas wrap. Still can't find it.
Oh, no.
I found when we were moving a bunch of my stuff down here, I found the box that I put everybody's Christmas presents in 3 years ago. And I'm like, I bought Christmas presents for everybody. I found them.
Yeah.
So we'll
For
finally
this
get them this
Christmas.
year, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think the Duplo blocks and they were age appropriate for children that are no longer that age.
Yeah.
I don't
Some of the
know.
objects are surprisingly mobile. Yes, Michael, that's very true.
David, Ian, your mama cat needs kittens. Oh, I'm pretty sure she's taking care of that. The reference the licking his eyebrows into place comment earlier.
Yeah. Well, Winkle Red, glad you survived the radiation therapy this morning, i.e. the x-ray. Cat radar lock on Rita's house. Yeah.
She's allergic to cats, guys. She's allergic to cats.
Oh, Sir Brass, that's gonna suck. Collision shop's backed up a week on work from the holidays. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you think about it. The holidays are when people that don't drive any distance get out and try to drive a distance that's over their capability.
And they're frustrated anyway. They probably don't want to do it.
And it's shitty weather.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And speaking of which, we have not heard from Kelly.
He was giving me shit about Dependent Cat on Facebook earlier. So
Yeah.
I asked him if it was snowing. And he said there was some ice, but this was like yesterday or the day
Yeah.
before, the middle of the day. He said, but just started snowing. So he may be having to tunnel his way out.
Because when it snows, lake effect snow in that part of the country, it snows feet, not inches, feet. Yeah, I can imagine, Sir Brass. People don't seem to understand that Mazdas can still be ordered with an automatic or a stick shift.
I miss stick shift.
And stick shifts are unusual.
No, they're millennial anti-theft devices.
Well, they're that too. A friend of
What the hell
mine
is this thing?
sent me one night before last, when he was bored. He says, look what I found, a one of a kind. And it's apparently literally is one of a kind. It's a Ford wagon with a 428 with a 4-speed in it. Somebody did not want to play the I'm going to haul the family around in a standard car game.
Mhm.
So he special ordered a Ford Galaxy wagon with a 428 and a 4-speed in it and bucket seats. And I just got to wonder how well the kids could hang on when Daddy got on it.
For those of you asking, Kelly Grayson has found himself a nice little job at a college in upper northern New York State, about half a skip from the Canadian border. And that Cajun swears he's going to be fine.
Yeah. That boy's going to freeze his ass off. Yeah.
Well, given that he was stuck in Anchorage when they had a recent very heavy winter storm, much more than predicted, that actually shut down the airport, I think he does know what cold is, although I will say that Anchorage being right on the ocean isn't what you'd call cold.
No.
Cold.
Well, and
a good friend of mine lives up there.
Being cold for a weekend is not the same as being cold for
weeks.
The winter.
Uh-huh.
That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah. Closest city to Kelly is Ottawa. Yeah.
So I have a couple of rants, and they are tangential. The first one is, if you were calling folks Nazis 4 years ago, and now you are the same person and you're yelling death to Jews, you need a little self-awareness.
Yeah.
If you're out there yelling German phrases for death to Jews and Arabic phrases for wipe out Jewish scum, go ahead and get your swastika and own it.
Yep.
Because damn, that's just, I knew things were going to get stupid. I realized that people are people and they are stupid. I didn't realize they were this stupid. I did not realize that alleged educated college students in the 21st century would be running around rampaging, yelling death to Jews. I really didn't. I did not expect
one
that
word. You forgot indoctrinated.
College students it comes with the territory. If you're gonna yell death to Jews, grab your swastika and wear it proudly, you little bastards. Secondly, if you were one of these little Nazi bastards at the University of California, Los Angeles, and you are following your buddy around as he rips down the pictures of Jewish hostages, and you're carrying a knife in your hand, as an elder to a younger thing, carry it like you know what you're doing. Because if it's in your hand while you're picking your nose, it's not your knife, it's our knife. And you walk around with a 4-inch blade in your hand means that if I get a hold of you and relieve you of said knife, I'm not in nearly so much trouble. And there are a whole bunch of people out here, more than usual. Back when I first started, Americans didn't like knives much. But there are a whole lot more people out there that are going to be walking along, minding their own business, turn a corner, see bump into you with a knife, and go to red alert. And you're going to realize it's our knife or y'all's knife about the time that you're in a bicep tie and he's filling your pelvis full of 9mm pills from a thumb pectoral index. Dumbass, stop it. Because I swear to God, first one of y'all that walks around the corner holding your knife and picking your nose and then gets cut fucking 11 times, you're going to be ankle deep, hip deep, and neck deep in blood and poo before you know what the hell's going on. Knock it off. Thus endeth the rant.
I see that. I'm just going to shoot the son of a bitch. I'm too old and broke to fight them. And I don't give a shit.
You know, if I am standing there minding my own, drinking a cup of coffee and admiring the landscape, and somebody walks in behind me holding a knife in their hand, things are going to get kind of radical. Yep. If I walk around the corner minding my own and bump into somebody holding a knife, things are going to get a little radical. Dumbasses.
Yep. Just like that kid that got jumped in school that they were going to beat down. He didn't start it, but he sure as hell ended it. Because what they didn't realize when they jumped his ass is he had a knife. And he got one of them in the ass and got the other one in the femoral artery. And he has a self-defense all day long.
If you've been walking around your campus where open carry weapons is forbidden and prohibited, holding a knife and picking your nose,
Yeah, you're on your own. And yes, John alluded to earlier the infamous Elon Musk statement.
I don't trust that man, but goddamn, I admire him sometimes.
Oh, and the hilarious part, if you watch that interview,
Is watching the interviewer.
is watching the interviewer's reaction when Musk said basically, "Hey, Bob Iger, fuck off."
Blue screen of death.
Yeah, that guy had no idea what to say at that point.
Da, da, da. Talk about broken. Woohoo!
Yeah. And Disney is losing money hand over fist for a good reason, because they have gone woke. They have gone stupid. Yes, he is a treasure. And the other thing people don't realize is he doesn't care.
Doesn't have to.
He does not care if Twitter goes broke. When he bought it, he said, it may go broke. I don't care. But Disney has,
There
your
you go.
saucer is waiting for your turn trip. Yeah.
If Disney keeps poking that bear, they might not like what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, the amount of money they're losing on the friggin' movies. The last Marvel cost somewhere around $200 million to produce. And if the article was correct, they've made profit, quote unquote, $30 million. Or no, not profit. They have made a total of $30 million.
Zero profit.
So they are, give or take 170 million in the hole just on that one. And that's not the only one. Yeah. And the thing is, Iger et al. Are doubling down on this crap. And, you take a look at it. Where are they going to? Yeah, 200 million is a gross underestimate, probably.
Yeah, John Manstrice says they lost $1 billion on 4 movies. I saw a headline,
Yeah.
couple of headlines there. They said that they had lost right at $1 billion on 4 separate movies.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah, Rick, and the problem is the people that are losing it are the investors. And at what point do the investors
Have enough of this shit?
have enough of this shit to turn around and say, wait a minute? And when they do, what's going to happen next? Also, look at the cancellations on streaming. Netflix has lost millions of customers. Disney Plus, basically underwater. CNN streaming service didn't last 2 months. All of the so-called free ones, Hulu, Pluto, whatever the hell.
Didn't stay free very long.
Yeah, they're free, but you've got more ads than you've got on cable TV.
Oh well.
Yeah, Sean, that's another point. Institutional investors are as woke as Disney.
Some of them, but you only lose money for so
Yeah.
long before it starts to hurt. So,
We do have some books to announce today.
we do. Let's see here. Giant freaking robots. Is Jonna on here? Because she'll kill me if she's on here. We don't have enough stories. Send more stories. That's a joke, folks. Apparently, Jonna opened the submissions folder for Giant Freaking Robots and then closed it, went to get coffee. But yes, if you have more stories, send them. We're Raconteur Press. We'll take more stories.
Robots.
Giant
Robots.
freaking robots.
If you're familiar with Macross or Gundam, that kind of thing, that kind of giant freaking robot.
Invest in bourbon. That market is still solid. Yes.
Dead When I Got There closes today. Somebody asked on Facebook, when does a deadline close? Send the story. Just send the story.
If it's a month or two late, too bad.
Yeah, if it's a month or two late, we got issues.
I'll figure it out. If it's a couple of minutes or a couple of hours, why are you bothering me?
Nope, that's the wrong. There it is. Damn it. All Were Burned 2 closes tomorrow. Send your stories. What are your stories? Send them.
Already have.
Hush. Let's see.
I got you the corrections back, finally.
Our friend Hillbilly over at Three Ravens has got one
Yep.
coming out.
Yep. Whispers of the Apocalypse. I've got a story in that one. That is a zombie story with a twist. 'Cause it takes place in Texas.
And Hillbilly's doing it with Bob Silverberg. So buy the book.
Jim Totten's got another one coming out,
Oh, yeah, he does.
and that'll be out, I think, Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And that's a continuation of his short story series.
Which he's going great gangbusters at.
Yep.
Kelly Grayson has his collected short stories coming
Yes.
out in both ebook and paper. And it is an impressively sized print copy because I do the cover for him. And I was like, Kelly, I need to know how many pages. And he's like, 385, 390. And I'm like, damn, man. But a 6x9 trade paperback. And he's also doing a hardcover version. So for
Wow.
Uber fans of Kelly, you can get a really nice book.
Short attention span theater.
Yes.
It's
Random,
Kelly.
random synapses.
Yeah.
It's Kelly. They're hilarious. Jim Totten is using the writing as part of his PTSD therapy. So buy his books.
Yeah.
And speaking of buying books, this is one that I know we've announced and talked about before, but there's actually a really good reason to buy more copies of it and give them as Christmas gifts or
Christmas
whatever.
gifts.
But Tales from the Oil Patch,
Yes.
the library that supports has had a ceiling collapse. And
Damn it,
is
finally.
currently closed. The ceiling came down
That was-
November 18th when we were there.
That ceiling's been hanging on for a while.
I know, but it really came down. So right now they've gone back to their COVID protocols. So you can check stuff out online, pull into the parking lot, text them and let them know that you're there and they'll bring your books out to you.
Damn.
But they can't have the people in the library currently. So yeah, folks, if you could buy a few copies of Oil Patch
Yeah, please.
to support the library and help them get their ceiling rebuilt so they can open and have things like story time. I donated some of my children's books. She wanted me to come in and read them for story time, and they can't have story time right now. So the little ones, right, and they can't have like Santa and Mrs. Claus, and the little ones are missing out for holiday stuff. So this is not cool.
If you're in a small town, folks, support your local library.
Yes.
They are local small town libraries do so much more than people realize.
I know as a librarian, I used to do everything from walking people through how to apply for their first job. And I'm not talking about young people, but people that had been in the workforce for 20, 30 years and then suddenly found themselves needing a new job, and they hadn't ever looked for a job online or done an online application or job searched with the online job boards. So I used to do stuff like that. I helped people find the state websites to apply for things like heating fuel assistance. I mean, we did books and movies, and we were on the forefront of the little library where I worked would actually check out e-readers to people so they could explore Kindle and Nook and ebooks. But we did a lot of just community outreach, and we provided a safe space for kids to go after school because we were literally around the corner from the school. So they could walk over to us and then be picked up by their parents. Now, we didn't encourage that because librarians are not babysitters.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about an older student and somebody that we knew was well behaved, we had the freedom to do that because we were a small library, and we did. And I used to teach classes. I taught Internet 101 to seniors, how to surf the web safely, because I had students that were older than you are, Jim. There was one guy that would come in, and he'd worked.
August still alive? Holy shit!
His name was Mike, and he was an old Yankee, and the accent on that man, I love to hear him talk because he had the old New England accent.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to teach them how to use the laptops at the library that had touchpads.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he's
dear.
like, feel my hands. And the man had worked with lumber all of his life. And
And
he
the
had
calluses.
All he had was calluses.
it was like wood. His
Yeah.
hands were like wood. So we had to come up with some mice. So he could
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. That's what your local library does.
Yeah.
It's far more than most people realize.
Yeah.
Small town libraries. Large, big city libraries like Houston irritate the snot out of me. Small town libraries, if you got a small town under 10,000 people, support your local library. They can be great, but great places. But quite honestly, if you don't have an involved librarian, and you don't have a community that's involved, your
Mhm.
library's going to suck.
Yeah.
Your community has to be involved. That's all
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah.
If you're in a small town, get involved with your library.
Yeah,
Well,
Greg said Cedar Hoyt has announced a new anthology, The Galactic Inquirer. Huh?
Sarah Hoyt.
Sarah Hoyt.
Cedar is not. You said Cedar.
Cedar
Sarah
Hoyt.
Hoyt.
That's a new one. Haven't met her yet.
Cedar is not doing an anthology. No.
Another damn Sarah. We got too many Sarahs in this group.
And Jennifer's and Amanda's.
Yeah.
What's Cedar though?
And I'll put in a plug for the site Team and More.
Yes.
Oh God,
if you're,
yes.
If you're a writer and you're looking for places to submit, go over and check them out. They've got all kinds of different markets. They don't vet the markets. They prefer to
Don't have
let
time.
you do it. Yeah, because it's all volunteer, so they don't have the time to get into it. But anytime you're going to get ready to submit to a market, there's questions you should be asking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know Ian has opinions on.
Well, and yes, Sean, trust me, there will never be a drag queen story hour at our library.
The Owl Park Library.
Yeah.
No.
And JY James Young has a new novella out in his alt history
Sweet.
Oh,
called
is it out
Wonder
now?
No More.
Cool.
Sweet.
So many things worth reading.
Yeah.
Og, brother of late Thag. Yeah.
Poor Thag.
It's a
The
Thagomizer.
Thagomizer.
Yeah.
Named after the late Thag Simmons.
Yeah.
Anywho, so if you're in a small town, your library, if it needs community involvement, and I've been in too many small towns where nobody cared about the library.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised what they do. You'd be surprised what your local small town
Yeah.
library does or could do if people would get high behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Our local library has copies of all of our books, mainly because we donate them to them.
Yes. But
And they do get read.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
not only does it give material to the library that can then provide reading material to their patrons, but when you talk to a librarian, don't just walk in with a stack of books and drop them on their desk. But talk to your librarian, find out if they're open to receiving donations, because unfortunately libraries will get donations of books that nobody wants.
Yeah.
And that makes them gun shy about
Right.
accepting just random donations. But the other thing that the librarian then will do for you is that they'll put it into the system.
Yep.
And most libraries are not completely independent. They're using systems, library databases that can spread throughout a community, connected communities, and the state, and sometimes even nationally.
Yep.
So, and there's a new program that's being used now that's easier than the old one. WorldCat is the old school library program, and it's a pain in the tush, which is actually part of the reason that libraries didn't want random donations, because if it wasn't in WorldCat, it made it very hard for them to get it into their system.
Yeah.
Because it's about an hour of manual data entry to put everything into WorldCat.
Well, and that's another reason to get a IBSN number.
No, that doesn't help.
Actually,
WorldCat is its own thing, but libraries are going away from WorldCat, and now
well, supposedly they supposedly were copying Library of Congress.
no,
So what you're saying is they didn't.
they were not.
Well,
as a
those lying
librarian,
cocksuckers.
as a librarian who had to put things into WorldCat periodically. No. But there is a new program that a lot of libraries are evidently using. Our library is using it. I talked to the librarian when I donated about 10 books to her, because I'm like, I'm sorry, this is a lot of work. And she's like, not really. The new program they're using, Atrium, actually pulls a lot of the data straight from Amazon.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So things like the cover image, so they don't have to track it down, save it, manually upload it.
Oh, sweet.
So that is fantastic to hear. But then once you get your book in the system, it makes it easier for other libraries to order your book.
Interlibrary loan.
Well, not just interlibrary loan, but a lot of librarians won't order a book that isn't in the system, because then they have to put it in the
Yeah.
system. So they will go to their whatever their database is before they order a book. and actually use that. That's why a lot of indies had trouble getting their books in libraries initially.
Yeah. And Doug said their local library put the donated books in the Friends of Library sale.
Yes.
Oh, really?
That will
Yeah.
happen, and that's what I'm talking about with librarians that are being gun shy about donations, because and that's why you ask first.
Yeah.
Ask the library that if you donate your books as a local author,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with them? A good library, and one that if they know you especially and you already have a trust relationship built
Yeah.
up with them, will be like, local author, yay, can you come and do a reading, do some kind of community outreach, because that's great for the library, it's great for you.
Yeah.
And our librarian, Amy, she's the one that her name's on the
Collections.
collections.
Yes.
The not the
Oil Patch and Haunted Library.
Haunted Library.
Anthologies.
She's involved.
Yes.
I wouldn't cross that lady.
No.
Some of the stories that she's told, no, but she's lovely and she's very engaged and she's very with the trends in publishing, which isn't actually normal for a net librarian, believe it or not.
And she wants the library to succeed, so she's trying.
Yes. So no, it's good, but it's hard. You have to reach out and build a relationship with the librarian if you want your books to go into your local library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Joel says, World Cat made it possible for me to research my Peter Pan project.
Mm-hmm.
There's a competition or alternatives. I want to know about it.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative?
Atrium. It's called Atrium.
Atrium, Joel.
So I know that the entire state of Texas, the libraries in Texas are moving towards using Atrium.
Okay.
So beyond that, I don't know. I mean, we know one of the children's librarians at the Salt Lake City, actually I think it's Salt Lake County Libraries, and I can ask him what they're using. That is a very large library system, and that man pulls some really interesting data out.
Oh.
Because he went through data just recently and posted it in the Writer Dojo group on Facebook.
Yeah.
On what YA titles are in the system and which ones are actually being checked out, and how many thousand of them are not ever leaving the library. They buy them, they bring them in, and they never go out. And they never go out again. 5,000 or 6,000 books.
Oh wow!
Oh, Richard just said local library purged John Ringo's books.
It depends on why.
Local author John Ringo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chattanooga Library.
Yeah.
It depends on why.
Not
if
small
they
town.
hadn't gone out in a certain specified, a lot of libraries are very rigid about their weeding programs, because then and it's all in the computer and they just pull a list of books to weed, and then some page wanders, which is usually part-time or volunteer, wanders the library, pulls them all onto a cart, and then they just chuck all of those because they haven't been checked out in time. And some libraries, it's as little time as 3 years. They have such a high volume of turnover.
Go 3 years without this book never being checked out. It's gone.
Yeah.
I actually can see
the other thing is a lot of the librarians are very left-wing.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
But still, if
library programs are notorious for being activists.
A library is a finite space.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got a book that's going 3 years or 5 years of nobody reading it, that's space that another book can use.
Yeah.
So when I started in the library where I was working, very small library, very limited space. And that was they had just recently built a large extension on it. But they had me go through and do the first formal weeding of the collection that had been done in a while, because our criteria was if it hasn't been checked out in 10 years. Yeah. And I still had massive amounts of books that I weeded a book that hadn't been checked out since before I was born.
Yeah.
And I actually made an argument for moving that one to the historical collection, but that was a whole other.
Yeah.
But our little library, and it is a little library.
Mm-hmm.
It's in an old house.
Yep, a lot of
Amy is definitely not left wing.
No, and a lot of small town librarians aren't, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't make a lot of money.
Nope.
Yeah.
And they usually are either married to somebody that makes enough money to support them, or they're working like 2-3 jobs. But you get into the bigger library systems with a bigger budget, and then you get the graduates with the MLIS, and let's just say that my boss, when I was a librarian, discouraged me from going after that as a degree, even though obviously I loved being a librarian.
Richard,
there's a lot of them you cannot. They will not hire you if you're not part of the ALA.
Yes.
American Library Association.
Which is, again,
That's a
a
guess on mine.
notorious activist society.
Well, when there were a bunch of librarians being arrested in Cuba for running unauthorized libraries, the ALA came out in support of the Cuban government.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because God forbid that you have an unauthorized library. Goodness knows what you might have in that unauthorized library.
Because they were not members of the ALA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Richard said, Cedar, the acquisition librarian, told me that he in particular and Bain in general weren't appropriate.
Yeah, see, now that's an issue.
Chattanooga's a big city. I don't know what to tell you. I'm talking. I'm going to repeat this one more time. Small town libraries.
Yeah.
I'm achy and I'm grouchy.
Well, it's like,
oh, really?
My boss and I had a discussion about whether or not we wanted to buy and stock 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Because, and ultimately we decided it wasn't up to us to decide what was and wasn't appropriate. If the patrons wanted it, we were going to buy it, which is why neither of us liked it, but we bought every damn James Patterson book that ever came out.
Yeah. they do.
Because they went out.
They do get checked out.
But on the other hand, I did hide the Dr. Seuss Lady Godiva book up in the adult collection where no children could possibly find it. Because most parents aren't going to look too closely at the cover of the Dr. Seuss book that their kid walks out with until they get home, and then I'm going to get in trouble.
Ouch, Padre. He says, on the other hand, my wife is getting red-pilled by the Israel-Gaza war. That sucks.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, there's a whole bunch of little Nazis running around here that nobody expected.
Yeah.
No, Alma's post recently on history being not cyclical, but rhyming was very timely, I think.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And a whole bunch of people going, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because you can tell them, till you're blue in the face that a college and university is mostly a leftist indoctrination service.
Yeah.
But until they see the students walk around yelling Heil Hitler and death to Jews, it just doesn't sink in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Padre. There is a difference in what we as active duty military and the general populace see. To put it mildly.
One of those things is that it's funny. Sanford and I were talking about this with food yesterday because we found a really nice Korean restaurant in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
It's called Soul Garden for those of you that live nearby, and it's worth it. Nice little family-run joint, and they will feed you so much food you can't possibly.
Family joint.
But we were talking about how military service broadens the horizon of most service members, because
that's
not necessarily by choice.
That's not, that's not the word I'd use, but okay.
But I mean, the things like the Korean food, I mean, Sanford had stepped outside and I'm sitting there at the table and chit-chatting with the young man that was running the front side of the restaurant. And he was asking me if my husband had served in Korea, and I was like, no, but he was in Germany, but he got exposed to Korean food on off bases so much that he learned to love it. And so it's not even whether you got sent and stationed somewhere, you got exposed to people from all over the country, all over the world, and it changes you.
Oh yeah.
Not always.
Well, and it's
the look on Ian's face.
Yeah, as Rick says, the first place that bronze you is in boot camp because it forces you to work with guys from all over, like them or not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy. He's current Army. I think he's an officer, but don't quote me on that. And Austin Vaughn something or other. I don't know if that's his actual name. and he did a reel yesterday about, listen, fuckers, if you don't tell me why you've been arrested before, she's giggling.
I've seen this one.
Yeah, before command staff shows up, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And it just goes into this brief. And as a platoon sergeant, I've given that brief
Yeah.
Stop putting raccoons
in Sergeant Major's truck. Stop putting raccoons. Just stop. They're going to get you on animal violation laws.
I might have left a chief in jail in Florida because he pissed me off.
I've actually given that speech. I will drive down to jail and I'll punch you in the mouth and we'll both be in jail.
Yep.
Stop it. But my favorite is he's given that and he's in his speech voice. And at the end of it, he says, yes. And what do you mean? No caffeine means no Geneva Conventions. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah. That was the other good one, Rick. The dipshit who wants to ban Mustangs because they aren't high class
That
enough.
moron. Oh, he needs to keep his.
He obviously got crossways with a Mustang and lost.
Well, interesting thing about that guy. Interesting thing.
Okay, are we talking Mustangs the horses or Mustangs the car?
Officers.
As Mustang officers.
Oh,
For those of you who don't know, a Mustang is an officer that started out as enlisted and got commissioned, usually through OCS.
Yeah.
well, I actually knew that term, but it is not top of mind when I heard Mustang.
So this numbnuts who claims, interesting thing
Yeah.
about this young man is he claims to be all this bullshit, Marine Force Recon as a 0311, which is basically the Marine version of 11 Bang Bang.
Yeah.
11 Bravo. Interesting thing is if he was Force Recon, he should have been 01
Yeah.
something.
That was not
He was
did
wrong
not-
MOS.
wrong MOS.
Mm.
Yes, he probably was a ring knocker RK.
I know the picture he's got. He's enlisted, and he says he's in he's an officer corps now, but I think he's full of shit.
Yeah.
And he sounds very much like a 19th century British officer. That it cheapens the officer culture to bring in those dirty enlisted.
Yeah.
I thought he was a troll at first. I really did.
He wants to go back to the aristocracy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what he sounds
Only
like.
the right people, the gentlemen.
Yeah, only gentlemen, and that's exactly the
Yeah.
way it comes across. Only gentlemen should be officers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. I can vouch for the fact that the Academy types did not like us at all.
Sometimes get over it. Those idiots just.
Well, it was funny because most squadrons have a few Mustangs. Our squadron, because we did different things, a third of our wardroom was Mustangs. So the Academy types would do shit like one particular officer who was behind the power curve on getting qualified, girlfriend would call the CO's wife every morning to see what uniform the
Like the friggin' West Point that told me that Warrant Officer 4 McCormick was going to salute him. Have fun with that, sir.
yeah. Well,
I can't. Why haven't I been paid for 6 months? Because you fucked with the warrant officer. That's why.
Yeah.
Numbnuts. You can't talk to me like that. Just did. Congratulations.
Oh, my.
Captain's transferring your ammo. Get the fuck out of my platoon area.
yeah.
Oh, my.
You can't talk to me like that, Staff Sergeant.
Yeah, we actually had fun when I checked back in because I checked back into the same squadron I had left 13 months earlier as an E6. So when I landed in Keflavik on deployment with the squadron, the XO picked me up and said, "Oh, by the way, glad you're here. You're on a flight schedule tomorrow with your old crew."
Apparently, it lost 3 minutes of my rant. So I'm guessing Frank was from West Point or VMI. Not sure which.
Yeah, probably Air Force Academy.
Deal with it, Frank. What you miss is me going, "Nah."
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Okay, Steve, literally we had this Lieutenant JG who was the assistant admin officer. I'm sorry, assistant personnel officer, just to get him somewhere where he couldn't fuck anything else up.
No, that's
And he was an academy type.
what y'all missed was me explaining that as an E6, as a platoon sergeant, that the U.S. Army would hand me this little bundle of nerve with a butter bar and tell me to train him to be a leader. And you can't teach the West Point people anything.
Yeah.
Because they already know it. And they're morons.
So anyway, he was dating his girlfriend at the time, who I do believe he later married, was the daughter of an academy grad.
Oh, so she was the high-end strip clubs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
she had plans for hubby to be. So she was literally calling the CO's wife, who she had sucked up to at a party, to find out what uniform that the CO was wearing that day so her boyfriend could match it.
Oh, God, Padre's probably a West Point graduate. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I just
know,
insulted every graduating class at West Point, and I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we are working with a West Point graduate because he is exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
Young graduated West Point.
Yes.
Holy shit!
I thought you knew that.
I did not.
You know, in every class, there's the one or two that are not that
Because
Yeah,
you
the
always
night
have the
that
exception
Yeah.
that proves the rule.
exactly.
Yeah.
Look, 99% of the graduates are exactly what you expect them to be.
No, Padre
1%
says,
are the ones that we actually like.
I was a direct commission. Yes.
I love the Mustangs. I really did, because they'd walk in with the butter bar. First, they'd spend all night with a Brasso cleaning the film off the butter bar.
Yeah.
The little protective plastic film.
Yeah.
They
That
come
way
in.
it's not shiny.
Yeah, and they come in. They go, "Hey, Sarge, you got this. Thanks, LT. Appreciate it."
Well, what was funny was the XO, when he picked me up from the airport in Kef, which was the other side of the field, and drove me back around, said, "You're on the schedule for tomorrow with your old crew. And, oh, by the way, I can't find a fucking job to give you, so you're going back to tactics." Because normally the brand new ensign gets something like VD control officer or some bullshit job, which doesn't work when you've already been an E6 and you're well known in the squadron.
I had a West Point cadet, butter bar, tell me that we couldn't do something because he'd read doctrine. It was counter to doctrine.
Oh, for fuck's sake, one of those.
I've read the doctrine. I don't care. He's also the one that dinged me for having a electric or a coffee pot welded to the inside of my track turret.
Yeah.
What is that? What, sir? That's the floor. No, that turret ring. No, that, Sergeant. That's my coffee pot, sir.
Yeah.
Is that an issued piece of equipment? Give me 30 seconds. I'll go talk to the supply warrant. It will be.
Yeah. Yes, Wally, there was such a thing as a VD control officer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jim, we don't follow doctrine, even though the Russians know that.
Even the Russians know that. What is it the Germans said? The terrible thing about fighting the Americans
Yeah.
is they don't know their doctrine.
Yeah.
We know their doctrine better than they do.
Yeah, well, we've never followed it anyway.
No.
You know, the classic case of World War II was D-Day, because 2 or 3 or 4 privates, maybe with a corporal, maybe with a sergeant from differing outfits, would get together behind the lines, especially with the parachutists, behind the lines
LGOPs.
at Normandy, and they would proceed to go on a rampage.
LGOPs.
Yeah.
Little groups of paratroopers.
Yeah.
It's not in doctrine. LGOPs is not in doctrine, but if you have a mass drop, you're going to have a whole bunch of 1 and 2 man groups of paratroopers, and they will form up.
Yep.
And they don't orders. We think it's go that way and kill everybody that doesn't look like us. All
Yeah.
right, let's go do this.
Yeah.
That's what they do, because we're Americans.
Yeah.
The classic thing is doctrine. Basically, is back in the 80s, cavalry scouts were speed bumps.
Yeah.
You're supposed to stay alive. You were out in front. You stay alive long enough to give enough warning to the Abrams to get fired up and headed towards the rampaging horde of scum-sucking Siberian snow pimps.
Yeah.
You can't tell a bunch of E4s your job's go out there and die.
Yeah.
They go, fuck that. And they start breaking doctrine left, right, and center. And they do it well.
Yep.
Little groups of paratroopers reminds me, we were talking a while back about the book that I'd read, The Airmen and the Headhunters.
Yeah.
Because they dropped out of their shot down plane by parachute into the Bornese jungle and were taken under the wing of the headhunters that
E4s.
inhabited.
Yeah.
Actually, I think most of them were officers because they were Navy. They were flying bombing runs and got
they were
nailed.
flying. They were flying a patrol P-24, which is a B-24.
Yeah. But I mean, I have to say that the mad Englishman that coordinated the guerrilla effort to take back over Borneo and get the Japanese off of it, lining the airstrip with the heads of the Japanese was just
perfect.
brilliant.
I can't say that.
I found out that there is a biography of him out there, and I it's out of print. So I'm gonna have to chase it to get it, but I kind of want it.
And Jay says the lethality of the E4 mafia is criminal.
Not kidding. Because I were one.
Those
Those guys.
the Danny in New Guinea, as I recall. Yeah, that's right, Padre. Thank you.
I don't know if Frank has thrown up on his server.
Yeah.
Or if he's so drunk he's pounding on it drunkenly and causing it to reset. But apparently Frank is having issues with the podcast today.
But the thing is Mustangs are either real good or real bad.
Any officer is.
Any officer.
They're people.
Yeah, they're people. And just like the same thing with the academy pukes or officers.
Like I said, near as I can tell, the smart ones at academies went to engineering, or chemical, or something.
Well, my bus driver was an academy grad, and he was a history major because he had been steeped in history by his father, who was also an academy grad, and he actually has participated in a number of the reenactors battles, including being in a couple of the movies. But he was one of my best pilots. And at one point on our crew, we had 5 officers. 3 of us were prior enlisted, and all 3 of us had served together enlisted. So
That's kind of scary.
It was interesting, to put it mildly, because the PPC and the 3P were both academy. The 2P was a Mustang. I was a Mustang, and the navigator was a Mustang.
Has everybody seen Airplane? I have this mental image of Frank going, picked a bad day, quit snorting glue. Picked a bad day to stop doing meth.
Yeah. Yeah, there are any number of stories, most of which I can't tell.
Oh, you don't know what that's like.
Yeah. But the thing is, folks, we did what had to be done. You know, we got the mission accomplished. It might not have been the way necessarily that the higher brass wanted it accomplished, but it got done. One of my kids that I trained went LDO, limited duty officer, and he ended up on the Lincoln. And his first job as a commissioned officer on the Lincoln was to go count the shitters and flush every one of them on the boat to make sure it worked.
Somebody's got to do it.
So it's got to be done.
It's got to be done. And he said, and I asked him, I said, so did you go do it? He says, hell yeah, I went and did it. He said, "You think I'm going to try to assign that to somebody and expect them to actually go do it?" He said, "I got more damn funny looks from the enlisted guys because here I am, a boot ensign walking in, flushing shitters and going, yep, that one works. Okay, mark that one. Yeah, that one works. Mark that one. That one don't work. Shit, got to fix that one again."
We actually got tossed off of a Navy ship one time.
That's not hard to believe.
For flushing everything.
No, apparently on some of the older ships, your crapper is over a channel.
Yes.
What? And water flows, and you just make a deposit into the running
Yeah.
water. Well, one of my
It's running
E4s,
salt water.
one of my E4s, this was right after the great kazoo incident but we won't talk about that. Discovered that he'd go in the upstream side with the paper and take the sports section, wad it up, set fire to it, and drop it in the water.
Oh, that asshole. No wonder y'all got thrown off. Because that has to go a ways downstream before it actually drops into the tank.
And apparently his record was 4.
But
Methane gas is explosive.
Yeah.
Well, the methane gas, it was the setting the coin purses on fire on the way by.
I know that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah, what
I can just hear the screams in my head.
what made Mike's story even funnier was, so they finally get out of the shipyards, they get underway, and have this thing on the boat called a tactical action officer, whose job it is to fight the ship if it comes down to it. The CO of the Lincoln apparently was unhappy with the quality of his TAOs. So he went around and found 4 Mustangs that were at that point Lieutenant JGs, and I think 3 of them were Lieutenant JGs, 1 was lieutenant. Sent them to school, and they became the TAOs for the carrier. He fired 3 04s. And Mike said later, he says, "Yeah," I said, "that's probably one of the best fit reps I ever got in my life." He said, "Not often as a Lieutenant JG, you get a fit rep as a tactical action officer for a carrier."
I would tell the kazoo story, but at the end of it, there was an admiral. I think it was an admiral. Somebody with a whole bunch of shit on his shoulders that was purple.
Statute of limitations is passed by now.
Hey, well, I thought man was going to have a stroke.
Promote ahead of peers, yes. Yeah, I've had a few of those fit reps.
But yeah, folks don't realize that the Army has a Navy. Has a very large Navy.
Yeah, actually larger than the U.S. Navy.
And oh, you don't want bored cavalry troopers on a landing craft. You just really don't.
Now, the fun one was we
A kazoo.
when I was O&R, we did some ship
Cedar's
development.
giggling.
Yeah, we did some ship development. Built a couple of ships for testing purposes. One was what was called an M-class stiletto, and one was a swath hull test ship. Well, we finished with the M hull, and we're trying to figure out what to do with it, and the Army wanted it. So we gave it to the Army. And the Army, in their infinite wisdom, found some warrant somewhere who had been on a tuna boat. Apparently his family were tuna boat fishermen.
Okay.
So he became the CO of it.
Okay.
And they found enough other enlisted Army types who had been on boats. Somebody bring in a kazoo for the next show.
Oh no.
I have kazoos. I have a whole bag of them.
Uh,
It's a shop. That's funny.
So the Army, in their infinite wisdom, goes, well, now we got this thing. What the hell are we going to do with it? And tells the warrant to go play
Oh God.
in the
Don't
Caribbean.
ever do that. Don't ever tell a warrant officer to go play. Just don't.
So they started intercepting drug runners
Warrant officer.
and chasing them down.
For those of you who think that my stories of my brief time in the military are funny, understand that Jay Totten has a lot more that are funnier.
Yeah.
Apparently, when he was at the Fort Benning School for Wayward Boys, he was calling cadence to war pigs during PT in front of the commanding general. He's got funnier stories than I do.
So anyway, these Army guys are chasing down drug runners.
Of course they are.
The only problem is they can't stop them because they don't have an LE debt. So
You
they
think
call,
this has to stop a warrant officer?
huh?
You can't stop a warrant officer?
So they call up Coast Guard Miami and go, hey, have you got a spare LE debt anywhere? Coast Guard Miami goes, who the fuck are you? We're Army guys down here with a fast boat. Sure, where? So they came up to Miami, took a weekend off, picked up an LE debt, went back to the Caribbean, and made somewhere over 30 stops.
They were having fun.
They were having fun.
And half the crew had eye patches, the other half had parrots.
Yeah, and they all had guns. But they apparently loved chasing down cigarette boats at 50 plus knots
Mm-hmm.
Yar!
because the M boat was a, shall we say, a rather interesting hull design that worked extremely well and it was extremely fast.
And had a warrant officer in charge of it.
Yeah.
Now, this couldn't possibly go wrong.
Now,
There are speeds at which water becomes very, very hard.
And not very fast speeds either.
No.
Ag Division's coming along slowly. I'm actually starting to get a little writing done.
Good.
Rick, they never had to sink one, accidentally or otherwise. They might have fired across the bow of a few of them with some
Oh.
kind of weapon.
Here's Jonna 4 minutes after ending time.
Yeah. Well, and I've got to tell the other funny story
Go
about the
ahead.
other boat.
So they're
Seafighter.
not going to stop you.
Friend of mine whose call sign was Pyro for reasons was a helicopter test pilot out on the West Coast.
Pyro, helicopter test pilot. Oh, this is going to be good.
In the Navy, you earn your call sign. It may not be the one
Right.
you want, but you earn it.
See an army boat come into port with a Jolly Roger and a broom on the mast.
I think they actually did that at least once. So Pyro goes out to do the test landings on this boat that we designed or built. And he said, 15 knots, no problem. 20 knots, yeah, it was a little testy. 30 knots, it was starting to get interesting because for a helicopter to land on a boat, you have what's called an LSC, landing signals enlisted. And his job is to get up there and flag the boat, land on the boat.
So did they tie the poor guy down?
Well, he stands in a protected space.
Who pissed off CPO? Guy out there in the protected space.
Yeah. So the normal approach is if the boat's going this way, the helicopter will come in at an angle to get past the turbulence, and then it'll square up on the boat and sit down. So Pyro said he's sitting there fat, dumb, and happy, and he goes to sit down, and it's like, where the fuck did the boat? God damn it. The boat literally ran out from under him.
Oh, no.
All right, you sons of bitches, let's try this again. And he said he made a run-on landing at 45 knots
Oh my.
and said, F it, I quit. He said when he went to lift off, it was like, okay, pull, collect, shit. Anyway, folks, we wasted a little over an hour of your time.
An hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, Ag, you would be amazed at the kind of weather helicopter pilots in the Navy, not only U.S. Navy, but Australian Navy and British Navy will land.
Because they're nuts.
Yeah.
NVTS nuts.
So we really appreciate it, folks. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button.
Why the hell do we have 45 people watching this?
I don't
Because we're
know. We only
amusing.
got 27 likes, so
And we're not that amusing.
45 people watch me go, no!
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, folks,
Someone's
Support
got-
your local library.
support your local libraries. Buy our books. We need them. We need the money.
So I can stop embarrassing myself in front of 48 people.
And
You need to get to 60 or 70 at least.
have a good weekend. Remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Y'all be safe.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'd say go tell all your friends